strap into your seats. It is our pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, former U.S. Army Black Hawk pilot, Elizabeth McCormick.
Can you handle the truth? Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to require maximum participation. So let's try that again. Can you handle the truth?
Yes.
Okay, because the truth is, I was an unemployed military wife who almost failed flight school. But before I tell you about that, I need to tell you how I got there. Would that be okay?
Yes.
And along the way, I'm going to share with you lessons that I learned that served me in life and business and can help you too. Sound good to you?
Yes.
All right, then let's get started. You see, I was an unemployed military wife. Yeah, and I was miserable. One night, I looked at my starter husband. Yeah. Anyone else have a starter spouse? All right, now, don't laugh too hard because you might still be on yours. Sometimes a starter is a keeper. Some of us are slow learners. But I looked at him and I thought, if he could be in the Army, why can't I? So I decided to join the Army, but I wanted the coolest job possible. Yeah, didn't know what that was. So I asked around, and everyone said it was becoming a helicopter pilot. So I said, oh, I'll do that. I didn't know it was hard. I didn't know the Army had only let women into aviation about 13 years before that. And the Army, in all their cautiousness and prudence, they were only letting women in one at a time. One at a time. One at a time, to see how it worked out. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was hard. So, in order for you to understand what flight school is like, I need to teach you how to fly a helicopter right now. Are you ready to learn how to fly a helicopter? Say yes.
Yes.
All right, you're going to need both hands and both feet if you're able. So go ahead and make a little bit of room if you can. Okay, so with your right hand, you're on what's called the cyclic. The cyclic is a stick. It goes down to the floorboard, up into the rotor system, and controls the pitch of the rotor blades. So it controls which direction we go. So right now I want you to take your right hand, stick it straight out in front of you. That's where your cyclic would be. All right, so you are now officially on the controls. There's no autopilot. So if you let go of the controls, that's bad. Okay, so we're gonna push it forward and lean forward, and then you're gonna be flying forward. You're flying. Now, as a room, we're all gonna go the same direction. We're all gonna go this way, and we're gonna push and lean this way. Yep, you're flying. And now, if we wanna go the other direction, what do you think we would do? Yeah, there you go. And if you wanted to go back, where would you go? Whoa, 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 you got a tail back there. If you pull it too far back and hit your tail, that's bad. Don't do that. Now, some of you just crashed the helicopter. You put your arm down. You're flying the helicopter, no autopilot. Go ahead, we'll let you come back. Go ahead. So that's with your right hand. Now with your left hand, I want you to imagine your elbow is pinned to the floorboard. All you can move is the front part of your hand. It's a lever off the floorboard. So the higher you pull it, the more airspeed you get. The higher you pull it, the more altitude you get. And if you pull it really high, you get both airspeed and altitude. So go ahead and pull some power. We like the power. Pull some power with your collective. So cyclic, collective. But here's what happens. When you pull power with your collective, it puts power in the tail rotor in the back. So even though you're flying straight like this, as you pull power, the tail kicks out like this. So I'm flying straight with my tail off to the side. Sorry. Is this aerodynamic? No. So with your feet independently of each other, if you're able, I want you to push on the foot pedals. And the foot pedals control the pitch of the tail rotor blade, which gets your tail behind you, where it belongs. All at the same time. But wait, there's more. Because while you're doing all that, you have a center console of avionic and navigation equipment to tell you who to talk to and where to go. And while you're monitoring all that, you have 4 feet of instrument panel you're scanning to make sure you stay in system limits. Because even though we are in the air, there are speed limits. Yeah, there's really speed limits in the air. Yeah, there's just no signs. You have to have every single limit on every single gauge memorized. And while you're monitoring all that, you have your windows. You have a front window here. You have what's called a door window here on the side. And you have what's called a chin bubble window down here at your feet. In fact, right now, look at your toes through the table if need be. Because when you lose your engine, that's where you're gonna go. Notice I said when, not if. There's no glide in a helicopter. You're going straight down. So it's really important that you don't hit a tree or a power line or another aircraft. Those are bad. Don't hit those either, right? All at the same time. But wait, there's more. Oh, by the way, you're still flying. You have a helmet on. And with the helmet, you've got a microphone. And you're talking internally to your crew and externally to air traffic control, all at the same time. There's no such thing as a quiet pilot. We're always communicating. And if you're sitting there thinking, what does that have to do with me? What does flying a helicopter matter? Well, the fact is, the pace of life and business is faster now than it's ever been, isn't it? I mean, the phone is ringing, the emails are dinging, and the text messages are blinging, sometimes all at the same time. And have you noticed that someday, when you go into work, you have a plan? We'll just stop there and laugh, right? We have a plan, right? And if you notice, it doesn't happen like you plan most of the time, right? New priorities come up. We have to anticipate what's going to happen. That anticipation and proactiveness is what it's like being a pilot. Because when you get behind the helicopter, you're really behind. Have you ever noticed that when you get behind on something that it's even harder to get caught up? Yeah. Staying ahead, being proactive, anticipating. That's what being in the pilot seat is like. Well, maybe there is one thing like being a pilot. Do we have any roller coaster fans in the house? Who are my let me see. I think I have one up here. Yeah, here's a roller coaster. Who let me see you. If you're a roller coaster fan, let's see. All right, I got to tell you, I don't believe any of you. Because I don't know any self-respecting roller coaster fan who would only use one arm. Let me see you roller coaster fans. You know it's true. It's 2 arms up every time, right? That's right. Well, I want you to imagine you're in the front car of a roller coaster. You know how you're in the front car, you can see everything that's coming. It's the smoothest ride. And I want you to imagine you're in that front car of a roller coaster, and as it goes up the hill, it makes a sound like this. You know the sound, come on. Right? And as you get to the top of the hill and you can look up and see everything, you realize there's no track. You get to decide where it goes. How high or how low, how fast or how slow, to the right or to the left, which way it should go. That is what flying a helicopter is like. But isn't that also what your career is like? What your future is like? That you get to decide where it goes. Well, when I got to flight school, first, when I went through to the recruiting station, they all said, no, you can't do this. I went to the flight doctor, no, you can't do this. Don't you know it's hard? When I went to take my testing, shockingly, they said, don't you know this is? Right? Everywhere I went, someone else said, no, you can't do this. I had to believe. And when I got to flight school, I drew the flight instructor who didn't believe I should fly. Not only was I the only female of my class, I was the only female for the 6 classes ahead of me and the 5 classes after mine. Out of 200 to 250 pilots, there was 1 woman. And I had a flight instructor who was trying to fail me. And here's the thing, when things get hard, you show up. You show up anyway. And I showed up every single day until towards the end. Longer story, bottom line, is that the flight instructor who tried to fail me took a week vacation and wasn't there. He saved me. He taught me how to fly. And I went on for flight school. Very important lesson from flight school that I learned, though, is that practice makes. Really? Because I had lots of practice doing it wrong. We're going to shift the paradigm here. Practice makes permanent. How we practice determines how we perform. How we practice determines how we show up. How we live in our life, how we work in our job. The things you do today determine your tomorrow. Because practice makes. It's a shift of thinking, isn't it? So be more deliberate. Be more intentional about the things that you do, because everything you do today, it matters. I'm Elizabeth McCormick, former U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter pilot. I can teach your audience how to fly. I can teach them sales, safety, leadership, or motivate them. I hope you'll deal me in to hit your jackpot.